All right. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome to Application to Apron. This is our qualifying and onboarding new members webinar hosted by the team at the Food Corridor. My name is Tyler. I'm the Director of Special Projects at the Food Corridor, and we're also joined by Matt and Jack. Matt, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Matt. I'm the client support specialist here at the Food Corridor. So if you guys have any questions about the Food Corridor, you guys utilize it. You're usually going to me. I'm Matt and the Gnomes. So
Thanks.
Hey,
Jack?
everybody. Yep, my name is Jack. Also recognize some familiar faces here. I am the sales and implementation specialist. So for anybody that's learning about the food corridor or is trying to get set up on the food corridor, I help them during that stage of the process.
Awesome. So, if you are new here and unfamiliar with who the Food Corridor is, we are a management software platform designed for shared kitchens. So, we help operators with everything from self-booking for your renters. So we streamline the operations. They can go on and book time, space, and equipment within your space. We automate the billing process all in one place. And then we also help with onboarding and compliance, which is very pertinent to today's discussion. So we'll get a deeper look at what that looks like inside of our platform a little bit later on today. But we essentially try and make operations as automated and streamlined as possible for shared kitchen operators so you can spend time working with the food businesses, renting inside of your space, and growing your business. We also have our sister website, The Kitchen Door. This is our free listing marketplace for shared kitchen. So if you have a shared kitchen or you're opening a shared kitchen soon, this is how food businesses are finding shared kitchens. We last year joined the kitchen door with the food corridor. So now all of your leads are going into one space for easy organization, help you qualify leads faster, streamline communication, and again, just keeping everything in one centralized location and help you increase lead conversion so you can hit those revenue goals faster and get people inside of your kitchens. Um, we have an education arm, Kitchen EDU. This is who is putting on these webinars. We have multiple resources for Shared Kitchen from our Shared Kitchen Toolkit, our Prep and Prosper workbook, the operations manual. We collect data across the shared kitchen industry nationally. So we have a resource to help meet you at every stage of your operation. Again, to help make sure that you're making those smart business decisions and operating efficiently and fiscally responsibly. We have a community of practice called the NIC, the Network for Incubator and Commissary Kitchens on Facebook. If you're not a part of the NIC and you are on Facebook, highly recommend joining that group. There's a lot of open sharing happening in the NIC. That's one of the great things about this community is how open and willing you all are to support one another and share what you've learned and the experiences that you've had so people aren't making the same mistakes. We have a monthly newsletter that goes out called Shared Kitchen Connect, and then we host an annual Shared Kitchen Summit. This year, we are going to Providence, Rhode Island in October. Early bird tickets are on sale and they're almost gone. So if you're thinking about joining us in Providence, early bird tickets are almost gone, and then we'll go to regular pricing. The Shared Kitchen Summit ends every year with or this is our third year doing it, the Golden Whisk Awards, which is our celebration of the industry. It's our awards ceremony celebrating you and all of the amazing work that you're doing out there in your kitchens. So early bird tickets are on sale now. April 7th is our next free EDU webinar. We are hosting a food safety webinar led by Always Food Safe. And then we are still accepting speaker proposals for our summit, and those close April 17th. So that's a little peek at what's coming up here in the next couple of months. But let's get into why we're all here today. Let's talk about qualifying and onboarding members in your kitchen. So, we're going to talk about why this matters, why you should be thinking about qualifying and onboarding as part of your process, and why having a developed process affects your kitchen, not only financially, but culturally as well, and how your space feels and your members are interacting with one another. We'll look at acceptance criteria and what you should be looking for in applications. What are some common red flags kitchens experience with members throughout the onboarding process? What does the onboarding process look like? Jack will give us a sneak peek into the onboarding demo in TFC and what that looks like and how our platform could help streamline this and take some of that very manual work that onboarding has off of your plate and put it onto the platform. And then we're going to save hopefully half of the session today for a Q&A session. This is one of the biggest topics that comes up when people ask, are requesting information or summit sessions and webinar topics. People want to know how to onboard and how to qualify new members and what do you do with those documents? What documents do you need? So we're going to have an open crowdsourced Q&A where you ask and answer the questions so we can hear what some of the operators in the field are doing and what's worked and what you all have learned. Everybody who has registered for this webinar will also receive a copy of our kitchen readiness checklist for food businesses. We'll get a look at that today. This is something you can add to your onboarding flows for food businesses to do a self-check and self-assessment to see if they're actually ready for a shared kitchen. So, qualifying and onboarding. Why does this matter? This should not be a surprise, right? We all know this. Qualifying your members before bringing them through the onboarding process ensures you're welcoming members into your kitchen who are likely to be successful. You want to make sure everyone is set up for success in your kitchen and you're bringing in the right types of businesses at the right business stages for your kitchen. And this is going to be different for everybody. If your food businesses are successful, they're going to stay in your kitchen longer. They're going to be renting more hours in your kitchen, and that just increases your sustainability within your operation. So that sets you up for financial success. We mentioned that cultural component in the beginning as well. You want to make sure you're bringing in people who are going to be able to work well together. It is a shared space. And so with that comes understanding and respecting of boundaries of space and time and equipment and product. And one bad egg can throw a wrench in that entire plan and ruin it for everyone and potentially cause your other members to leave and look for another space. So it's important to find both that financial and cultural fit for your kitchen. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. This can help protect your safety and mitigate risk within the kitchen. You want to make sure that the people coming into your kitchen understand what it means to operate within food safety guidelines and that they're creating products in a safe way and using your equipment in the correct way as well, and not coming in and causing breakage or a piece of equipment to go down for a long period of time because of the way that they interacted with it. So your onboarding process really sets the tone for how your operation runs. If you have a organized and detailed and thorough onboarding process and you're going through all of those steps with potential members, that sets the tone of, okay, you're serious about your operations. There are processes here. I need to follow these processes. And if I don't, these are the consequences of these processes. So some acceptance criteria to think about as you're qualifying members. Setting acceptance criteria within your internal team early on can help make more intentional and efficient decisions within your team. And then you're not the only one who's able to qualify those prospects coming into your kitchen. So this can also help inform recruitment and marketing strategies as well. If you're looking for a specific type of member, you can really target your messaging to attract those types of individuals. This can help your prospects recognize if your kitchen is a good fit. Some kitchens love having early stage businesses come into their kitchen. That's great. We need those kitchens. Whereas others may not want early stage members in their kitchen. They're looking for more established businesses. Putting that messaging out front will help save you time in the long run of communicating back and forth with somebody who just isn't a good fit or ready for your kitchen. And then again, it helps keep your team on the same page and remain consistent with what the expectations are for accepting new members into your kitchen. So as you're developing acceptance criteria, what you're looking for, some key considerations to think about are your kitchen's missions and goals, right? As mentioned, if you're one of your kitchen's goals and the mission of your kitchen is to support early stage food businesses, that's very specific. So you definitely want to take that into consideration and understand what that means. Those businesses are going to most likely need a little bit more hand holding in the beginning and help with walking through communicating with the local health department and getting their business license. Your target market. Do you have specific types of businesses that you're targeting? Maybe food trucks. Okay, well, what does that mean? Food trucks are going to need a large parking lot, a place to dump their gray water, a place to fill up fresh water, maybe an electricity to plug into. So these are all things you need to consider as you're going through and selecting your acceptance criteria and what you're looking for in members is considering your operational limits for your kitchen. What does your space look like? What time is available in your kitchen? What equipment do you have available for members? Storage and types of product. Maybe you're a gluten-free kitchen, so you're not going to accept any products that work with gluten ingredients. And decide how much of your time you want to dedicate before getting paid. How much time do you want to spend on the qualifying process? What does that look like? And when are you collecting a deposit and signing a member agreement? Having this acceptance criteria laid out ahead of time can save you that time before getting paid because the food businesses can look at that and say, maybe I'm not the best fit for this kitchen before reaching out to you. So intake and application. I wanted to real quick point out on the kitchen door, we do have an embedded intake form. Just real quick, we'll take a peek at it. This form was created with feedback from you, from the shared kitchen community. And so this is a good first step in qualifying potential members for your kitchen. Again, a lot of what we just talked about, the business stage of the kitchen, what type of business is this individual operating, the types of products that they're making, how many hours a month do they anticipate using, day preferences. So again, and then a message for your kitchen. And so this goes directly from TKD into your leads manager account, into the food corridor. And this can be treated as a first round of defense before getting into a more in-depth application with prospects. So that's a good way to qualify leads that are coming in through your inbox. So some things to ask in the application process, right? You want to make sure that these prospects have a clear concept and target market. What are they selling? Who are they selling it to? And a production plan. Do they understand fully what type of equipment they need to produce their product, how much time it's going to take, and how much storage they're going to need? Any operational details such as forecasted volumes, where are they sourcing their ingredients from? While ingredient sourcing is on the food businesses, you want to make sure that they're operating in a safe way. And this means sourcing from approved vendors. Making sure you have enough equipment and storage capacity to accommodate each of these applicants that are coming through, as well as anticipated time in the kitchen and recurring sales channels that they may have. Some team and document requirements, right? Ask them about their insurance. Do they have it yet? Do they understand they're going to need to get it to operate in your kitchen? Same with food safety certification, business license. They may need seller and sales tax permits depending on their business model and local regulatory requirements, as well as a HACCP plan if required for their specific product. It's important to note that some permits require a commercial kitchen agreement prior to obtaining them. So they may not be coming to you with they're not going to come to you with their health inspection license, maybe from a previous kitchen. But making sure that they are aware of that process and what any associated fees are is important in this application and onboarding process. And then ask if there's any additional team members that they have coming into the kitchen to work with them. Some kitchens decide to ask for references and do credit or background checks. That's completely up to you. This is a good way to check their reputation at past shared kitchens, or if they've worked in a professional kitchen before to understand what their working ethic and cleanliness is like. And then credit and background checks for, payment histories or any red flags to look out for. So on your end, as a shared kitchen operator, helpful things to provide upfront to prospective food businesses, again, so they can determine if your kitchen is a right fit for them before going through what can be a lengthy application and onboarding process. This transparency also builds trust from the start with these businesses. So outlining all of your billing plan options, if you have hourly, monthly, what does storage cost? Is there an event rental fee? Do you offer custom plans? It's important for food businesses to understand the full cost of what it takes to operate within your kitchen, including fees, any one-time fee, such as an application fee or deposit, regularly recurring fees, what are the policy violation fees for your kitchen, late payment fees, etc. And then any standardized operating procedures that you have within your kitchen. So again, those prospects understand what it means to operate within your kitchen and who are the local regulatory contacts and steps for them to become legal and safe to work in your kitchen. The question that comes up a lot is, when do I give onboarding members or prospective food businesses my operations manual and member agreement? That's up to you. What we see people do is once you qualify a food business, then giving them these more in-depth documents, and at that point, inviting them to move forward in the process. You could also provide those along with accepting the deposit. And then, of course, don't forget to communicate your value proposition as a kitchen. Do you offer any business support or incubation services? You have a community of food entrepreneurs all going through the same thing. That in itself is a huge value proposition for shared kitchens. And then detail what's included in membership. You're paying for pest control, utilities, Wi-Fi, cleaning supplies. The list goes on and on. Don't undercut what you are offering for these food businesses, and be real with them about the cost of doing it alone. What is the alternative to working in a shared kitchen? It's getting your own brick and mortar. And that can often, not often, that is a very big financial risk for food businesses going at it on their own. So you're mitigating that risk for them. So this is our kitchen readiness checklist that you'll receive in our follow-up email. This is again for food businesses. So this is for them to do that self-assessment on, am I ready for a kitchen? And you can customize this to your kitchen's, needs and what you're looking for. And at the end, we outline why this work matters. Why should food businesses be going through this pre-work before getting into a kitchen? Anyone that completes this shows that they're serious and prepared and they're ready to go into a kitchen and they're taking the time to understand what that means of going into a shared kitchen. So not every applicant that comes through is going to be a good fit, and that's okay. That's Often a hard thing to come to terms with, especially as a new kitchen. You want everyone in there filling your hours and getting in your space. But some red flags to look for throughout the intake process is overestimated sales of a new product from a new business. If they don't have any sales history and they're everybody is my customer and everyone's going to want this product, that's not the case. That could be a red flag. No established sales channels or plan. Where are they going to sell this product that they're making? How are they going to afford to pay for your kitchen? If there's any pushback or hesitation about the deposit, red flag. If they can't answer simple food safety questions, you can ask these questions during the application process. If they're a food truck, ask them or they're a caterer, ask them what their hot temperature they're hot holding their food at. They say anything below 135, that's a red flag. Um, if they correct your steps as you're going through your kitchen's SOPs, saying, well, at my previous kitchen or job, we did it this way, or I'm used to doing it this way, could be a red flag. They're not going to follow your policies. Um, if they're too early in the process for your kitchen's mission, have a list of resources available to them, local small business associations, small business development centers, people that can help them get kitchen ready so they can return back to you. And keep in mind, every business you allow to produce in your kitchen contributes to your reputation. So you do want to make sure that they understand what it takes to make food safely in a shared space. I'm going to turn it on over to Matt.
Perfect. Thanks, Tyler. So I'm going to be talking about the onboarding process. So once you have qualified somebody to join your kitchen, I'm going to be talking about kind of how the steps that you guys can take to get them utilizing your kitchen and kind of just some key things that you should address before allowing somebody into your kitchen. So I broke it down into 7 steps. If you guys utilize the food corridor, some of these translate really well into the onboarding checklist that Jack is going to show you later. Your kitchen may want to add some additional steps to this. If you're a kitchen that allows some drop-in people, you're not kind of a membership kitchen, some of these steps may not be a right fit for you. But I want to just kind of cover the 7 basic steps that I think are a good starting point for onboarding a new client. So first off is an in-person tour. This gives you the opportunity to meet face to face. So it kind of gives you that gut check of, hey, is this person a good fit for our culture? Tyler talked a lot about culture. You want to make sure that the clients that are joining your kitchen are going to be a good fit for both you and your kitchen. So the members that you currently have. It also shows them the kitchen, shows them your space, so that it makes sure that they're a good fit for utilizing your kitchen. If they are requiring certain pieces of equipment and you just don't have that, then you're addressing that right at the beginning of this. You're not going forward. Again, hopefully you're going to be weeding out a lot of those during the application process. But having a in-person tour is a great point to address these issues before they become big problems. Answer any questions that they may have, show storage locations, if you guys have specific equipment that you guys utilize. So if there's some shared equipment that is accessible by everybody, you can show that. An in-person tour is a great option when there's somebody utilizing the kitchen. Sometimes you may not be able to do that, obviously, if your kitchen's too small or just scheduling wise. But it's a great opportunity for them to see how the kitchen looks when it's being used, so that they can see themselves in that position as well. So in-person tour is where I would always start so that you can meet them, they can see the space, and you can go from there. The next step that I would recommend is collect required documents. This is kind of where the step where I would recommend if you're collecting the deposit, this is kind of a good step to accomplish that. Make sure that you're collecting all of those required documents that are outlined in that checklist prior to them utilizing your kitchen, prior to them moving anything into your kitchen. This makes sure that you're covered as well as they're covered. This protects you, make sure that they have business insurance, business license, food handler certificate, all those necessary items to make sure that they are utilizing the kitchen correctly and safely. Um, so make sure that you collect all this information before they move in. Again, like Tyler said, there could be instances where some of these documents require them having a shared kitchen agreement signed before addressing that. So collect what you can and then work with them if they need an agreement signed prior to them moving anything in. But make sure all that is collected before they move anything in the kitchen and they start utilizing that. Next thing is review the agreement. Again, this can be kind of in tandem with the in-person tour with collecting the documents, but make sure that you review the doc or your agreement together. I recommend doing this either in person or over the phone or over Zoom. Not just send them the document and have them review it. I am somebody, if I get something in the mail, I rarely read that whole document. Where if you do it in person, you don't have to go step by step of everything in your agreement, but make sure that you're covering the big bullet points, your policies, your procedures, your billing, your fees, anything that is crucial for them to know. It's good to cover in person. This is another place where you can discuss pricing. Make sure that somebody mentioned in the chat here that you guys have a registration process, but you don't have a financial stamina, qualified financial stamina. When you're reviewing the agreement, this is a great time to discuss that of, hey, this is the price, this is how that's going to go. Step 4 goes right with the review agreement, questions and signatures. Take the time to make sure that they have the space to ask any questions to you. So make sure that if they have any questions, that you're answering that. It shows that you're open and available and can assist them, and then have that document signed. After that, we have the move in or the first shift. So if they're utilizing storage or anything like that, you may have a period where they're moving pieces of equipment in. This could also be just their first shift that they rent from your kitchen. I recommend trying to be here during that time. Again, all of these steps are for you guys to notice small things before they become big problems. If you can nip it in the bud before anything escalates, that's what these onboarding steps are meant to do. So make sure that they are following those procedures, that their first time in, that they're using their designated storage, that you're considering how they're utilizing your space when they're first using it. Again, I recommend being here for that first phase, but if you can't, if you have somebody else at the kitchen, it's just always nice to show that you're open and willing to support them in this effort by being there. The next step is something that's optional, but I also recommend is that observation period. Again, it kind of goes in with that move-in step, that first shift step, but is just 1 or 2 weeks, 1 or 2 sessions that they're renting from your kitchen, just being present and seeing how they're utilizing the kitchen, making sure that they're a good cultural fit with other members of the kitchen, if other people are utilizing the kitchen at the same time, making sure they're following the policies, that they're signing in if you're requiring sign in, that they're utilizing the correct equipment, that they're following all those procedures that you guys covered earlier. And again, this is just a great step to address any concerns before something major happens. So having an observational period. And then finally, a post-onboarding follow-up. So don't disappear after you onboard somebody. Don't just add a fee to their account and just let them loose, Make sure that you understand that, or that you're present, you're willing to answer questions, you're there to support them. Ask them how things are going. If they have any questions, again, this is catching small issues before they become big problems. So again, I feel like if you follow these 7 steps, that's a good starting point. Again, you can add some additional steps. You can remove some depending on your kitchen and your client basis. But that's what I recommend when adding kitchens to your kitchen.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt. Well, yeah, so Matt just outlined a lot of great steps and tips to ensure your renters are going to be in compliance and kitchen ready before becoming a full-time user. But you might be thinking, how am I going to manage all this back and forth and all this communication when I already have 15 renters in the kitchen that I'm looking after? So in the food corridor, we've built out a lot of great onboarding tools to make this process as simple as possible. So now I'm going to share my screen and give you a quick tour of what some of that looks like. All right. So here I'm in a food corridor account, and I'm in the onboarding section of the kitchen settings. And we're looking at something that we call onboarding flows. But these are basically customizable checklists that you can build out, including some of those tasks that Matt went over, or whatever tasks you guys need your renters to complete before starting to use the kitchen. And this is a very valuable tool. We found that kitchens that utilize this feature onboard renters 34% faster than those who don't. So, for example, if it takes 3 months to onboard a renter, utilizing this feature can take off a month of that, which means you're getting paid a month earlier. So yeah, you can see here some of the tasks that we already went over, but the goal is to walk them through their onboarding checklist one by one, so you don't have to communicate with them what they need to do next. They can simply complete each task, and then they'll be prompted to move on to the next one. And then once they finally completed their onboarding checklist, they'll be ready to become a full-time user and start coming in to utilize the kitchen. So for some of those examples, scheduling kitchen orientation, watching equipment tutorials, reviewing kitchen policies and procedures, etc. And the cool thing about this feature is that you can link to outside sources. So taking that equipment tutorial, for example, if you wanted the renters to learn about how to use the oven or the mixer before coming in to actually use them, you could link to a YouTube video where it walks them through that process. Or if you utilize a e-sign website like DocuSign, you can link to other outside websites like that to ensure that they upload those documents and that they're signed before approving them. So you can, again, customize these tasks by adding a task and either selecting from the drop-down of options that are already included, or you can type in a task that you would like the renters to complete. There was a lot of talk about charging fees and security deposits before becoming a renter. So you could actually add that as one of the final tasks in the onboarding checklist to ensure you receive some sort of payment and that they have their payment method on file before they, again, come in to start using the kitchen. There are some helpful tools in here that are going to be linked within the food corridor itself. So for this documents action, that is another big part of the platform. So going over to the document side of things, these are some of the documents that were already mentioned: insurance, business license, food handler's card. But the important thing is that when each document is uploaded, you'll receive a notification, and the platform is going to track when these documents expire. So you and the renters will receive notifications before they expire. So again, making it as easy as possible to stay in compliance with the health department. Going back over to the checklist, you can see here that it says food truck checklist. So the neat thing about this is that you can customize the checklist based off of the user. So if your caterers or your bakers need different tasks than the food trucks, you can create different types of checklists depending on the user. And then looking at the checklist from the viewpoint of the food business, this is what it's going to look like for them. So they will need to complete the tasks in the order that you set them, but they don't have to wait for you to approve each one. They can simply keep on clicking completed as they complete these tasks. For the document task, for the payment method task, those will be automatically checked off as they complete them within the food corridor because those are automatically tracked within the platform. So that is a quick overview of how the onboarding tool works in the food corridor. But if you're thinking, I'm in the early stages, I'm just starting, I don't have any onboarding prospects yet. As Tyler mentioned, we do have that great website called The Kitchen Door. And again, that is a website that anybody can utilize as long as you have a kitchen available for rent. So you can make a listing here. Food businesses will be able to search for your kitchen by zip code or city, and then they'll be able to click on your listing, learn about your kitchen, see your photos, read about the description, the pricing, and so on. And ultimately, if they decide it's going to be a good fit, this is where they're going to be able to fill out that intake form that Tyler went over. So again, they'll fill out this intake form, adding all the information about their food business. And once they complete this form, then that starts their journey within the food corridor. So going back to the food corridor account here under the clients tab, once the food business fills out the intake form, they're going to start off as a lead. So this is again starting their journey within the account, and this is going to be the time for you to message them, find out if they're going to be a good fit for the kitchen, and then ultimately decide if you're going to invite them to onboard or not. You also don't need to necessarily wait for kitchens to or for food businesses to find you through the kitchen door. You also have the ability to share your lead intake form. So this is something you could post on your social medias, just send to a food business through email or text. Or if you don't have an intake form yet on your website, you are able to actually embed this form so people can easily contact you through your website as well. But no matter which way they find the form, once they fill it out, again, they'll be here in the leads tab. If you do decide that they are a good fit and you want to move them forward, you can then invite them to onboard. Once they've been invited to onboard, they'll receive an invitation from you, and then they'll land in your onboarding tab. So finally, this is the time where you're going to select the checklist that you want to assign them. So this is the ones that we went over in the kitchen settings. And yeah, once you assign the checklist, you can see here that as they complete the task, their progress will be tracked. And once they are 100% completed, you can approve them as a client, and that's going to give them access to start booking time on the calendar within the food corridor. So yeah, hopefully that will help remove a lot of the back and forth. And again, just provide complete transparency with the food businesses about what they need to do to become a renter. And if you want to learn more about the feature, or if you want to talk about how to gear it towards your kitchen, you will be able to schedule a call with us after the webinar today.
All right. Thanks, Jack.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now we're going to move into the open Q&A section where you all can ask questions to pose to everybody else in the room so we can get some collaborative discussion started. So if you don't know how to raise your hand on Zoom, on the bottom toolbar is a heart that says react under it. You click on that little arrow next to it, you'll see, oops, you just click on the react button and hit raise hand. And then you can lower your hand. The button will pop up. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. And if you'd like to answer the question, please come off mute and answer the question. We'll get the conversation started. I know you all have a lot of questions.
There's been some good participation in the chat I've been looking at. Brandy, you have a 2-week kind of turnaround. Would you be willing to kind of talk about how you've accomplished that?
So what, can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Okay, so I took all of my templates that are required for the onboarding process and I made them templates so it makes me push it out like tasks in an email format. And then they have to respond to each one of those tasks with the things that they have to complete. So that's been easy. And then I created a Google Drive link where they upload all their documents that creates a Google folder for them. And that Google folder allows all the documents to be visible by city or state. So then that it kind of reduces my ability to have paper on site or create a binder or notebook for those individuals. But my biggest challenge is the consistency of payment, even in the smallest amounts. I get so many excuses about people life in general. And it's if I'm taking this business as serious as I am, investing the money, and that's the only reason why I don't even use Food Corridor, because I have to be able to substantiate a $400 fee per month to cover your software requirements. And I can't do that if I have too many haphazards just to be able to maintain my regular day to day. Our rent is like 2,000. Then you have trash, you have grease, you have this, you have that, all those things. So our operational costs are somewhere about 46 to 4,700. And if everybody's not timely with their payments, the expectation is that I'm paying for it out of my own pocket. And I'm not doing that anymore. I did it for the first 2 years. I can't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's totally understandable. Cash flow is a big challenge with a lot of kitchens, right? And making sure that you're getting your payments on time. Does anybody have any solutions they've found work for them in getting their food businesses to pay consistently on time?
It's plain and simple. No payment, no access. You have to draw a line somewhere. You're operating a business, not a charity. So, you know what? First of all, they have to give an application fee, which is a good amount because we need to have some skin in the game. And then again, we ask them to give us a month's equivalent, of their plan as a security deposit. There is no exception, no matter what. And then again, we do ask them to sign up a personal guarantee on our agreement because we've seen that happen where, they've tried to get out of, these monthly payments. We've had an issue where we did lose some money in our initial, startup phase. But since we have implemented this thing, with the personal guarantee. And then again, while you're getting the personal guarantee on there, make sure you have an ID because the money we lost was a husband and wife team, and the husband signed his wife's name. And then, he just refused. Well, we never signed that document. So we asked them to give us an ID. We asked them to sign up a personal guarantee. Of course, the deposit is there. And then again, first strike, I will give them a 3-day period to at least pay half the money. If not, no access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we hear that a lot, restrict access. Kim, you have a question.
Yes, I have a question on the background checks. If there's a specific program that if anybody's running them, what they're using.
Great question. Is anyone doing background checks? Do you have a good recommendation?
Nobody's running background checks.
No one's doing.
The general background checks are if they have all the documents in place, they're organized, they have a folder when they come into the office, because we physically want them in our office sitting across, from us.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as they are able to answer all the questions and no red flags, that's a background check. You know what? I'm still a little old fashioned where I do have faith in people. When they are providing me with the documentation that is needed, it's there, they're organized. That's a good enough background check to start with. And then they are giving us, money upfront and deposits and things like that. So I think that's our way of doing things.
The reason why I bring it up is I've recently had a prospective tenant come in to tour the space, and she recognized someone in the kitchen and knew they had a criminal background and were convicted of a felony. So that's what brought the alert up to me, is that how do you know who's in your kitchen? We have some residential properties, so we have to run background and credit checks. And I would not have thought about that. But when someone brought that up, she just said, I don't know if you're aware or not, but this person has a criminal background and has been convicted. So we're going to start doing background checks just to so now I have to get him out of the kitchen, which is going to be a delicate situation.
Yep, definitely is. What other questions do you all have? Brandy, why, can you clarify your question is why do background checks or? Brandy? Why are you removing them? I think because they are a convicted felon,
Right.
which
It's
can
the
be
type of-
a risk being in a shared space.
Yes. And I think from a legal standpoint, if you're aware of it and do nothing about it, you're held liable as well, is what my attorney said.
Arwen, you have a question?
Some of you guys that have CPAs can do. My accountant does background checks, so you might ask your CPAs.
That's a great tip. Y'all are quiet today. What other questions do you have? Can pull some questions from the registration form. Let's see what you all asked in there. You're pretty chatty in the registration form. How much do you tell someone in the first contact email? So I pose this question to you all. When you do your first contact email, you've got an inquiry, you're reaching back out to folks. What do you put? Joby.
I had a different question, but you can
Sure.
answer that one first, though.
Nope, come on, let's hear your question. We got a live one.
Yeah. Okay, so there was talk at the beginning about the type and stage. Like, which kitchens, like this is the crowdsourcing question, is like, how do you decide what are the pros and cons of like established businesses versus new businesses? And like, how did kind of everybody decide which businesses to target or which fits better for them?
That's a great question.
Thanks.
What do you all think? How did you decide?
Hi, everyone. I can't raise my hand for whatever reason, but I can
Okay.
share our program. We're a nonprofit organization and we have a commercial shared kitchen space. So in our program, we actually have to take both groups, startups and those individuals that maybe are in a semi-startup stage. So we're able to work with our clients through their concept and permits and licenses before they can access our facility. So we take them both and we're able to manage the different needs from both groups. So, yeah, and it works out for us.
Perfect. So that aligns with your mission and the goals of your kitchen. Carla, did you have another question or do you have something to add to that?
I've been working with my CPA, and I'm just wondering about just getting some feedback from you guys. How are you guys determining your initial fee? First month, half of first month, first and last month?
I would go for 1 month's worth, whether it's like a monthly plan or normal minimum plan is 20 hours. We charge at like for a catering or a baking kitchen $40 an hour. So that's like $832, $800 for the 20 hours, 4% portal fee. We do not take checks or ACH. We are strictly credit card only. And then again, if they have storage, we add the storage on. So $150 for each shelf, whether it's dry, refrigerated, or freezer. If they want all three, we will give them a discount here and there. So that'll equate to close to around $1,000 or $1,100 as a security deposit, which is as good as a month's worth. So if their payment bounces and they don't pay within 3 days, uh, it is written in our agreement. We just send them a notice that in another week, if we do not get the payment, their account is canceled and we forfeit their security deposit.
Mm-hmm.
And it did hurt a couple times initially when we were like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What is this person, or small business going to think? Actually, they're not thinking about you. So why are you thinking about them? So sometimes you have to draw a line.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Good points. Does anybody else have anything they want to add to that? How are you determining your security deposit and what you're collecting?
Hey, I can give a little bit of thought on just from what we've been doing. It's kind of evolved over time. We started with a flat $400 security deposit, and that was kind of benchmarked off of other kitchens around. So we just kind of wanted to be in line with what everyone else was doing. Over time, though, we've kind of shifted that. We reduced the security deposit based on feedback as we were going through the onboarding process with various members. And then actually, I just saw this chat come through from Christine. We changed, basically, we offset the reduction in security deposit. We reduced it to $250 and then charged a flat $150 onboarding fee, which accounts for our time in document collection, vetting things like the insurance, the company's insurance, and then setting up door access codes and things like that.
Awesome. Thank you, Seth.
Mary's asking if people charge an annual membership fee. Anybody on the call, do people just charge monthly fees or is there an annual fee that you guys charge as well?
There's an initial onboarding application fee, which is non-refundable, and then it's a monthly plan charges, so it's monthly. We have them locked up for initial 6 months, and then it becomes month to month thereafter. But for cancellation, they are required to give us a one full calendar month's notice, not 30 days, but a full calendar month. We got a notice on the 28th of February. It's going to be effective 1st April. We get the notice on 1st March. It's going to go into 1st May, not 1st April. So we are very strict on these rules.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sarabjit. All right,
Yeah,
I think we
looks
have
like
time for one more. Matt, you got one in the chat?
no.
Oh.
I was just going to elaborate on that.
Nicole.
I have a question. I'm with a nonprofit organization and we're just still doing it in construction. So, how do those who have open establishment charge for like not membership? So people that frequently come in one-time service or reoccurring every now and then. 'Cause somebody who's just like doing catering doesn't really have just like a established full business, just seasonal.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody else out there have more seasonal members? Max?
I'll say something about that. Yeah, we really try not to take on temporary renters. Typically in our kitchen, those guys come in, it's like a tornado went off, they leave the kitchen dirty, they never come back. So, with all the people that we have in here that are our regular renters that are here every day, that respect each other, it's almost not.
Oh, Max, I think you're cutting out.
Your microphone was just getting a little crackly there at the end. It's still a little off and on, but I based on what you're saying, Max, they focus on those long-term renters, those established renters, people that can sign a contract with them. The one-time renters are are too much of a liability and again could jump into the kitchen and just leave at any time.
And Phil in the chat says his local health department doesn't allow short-term permits. So that's something to check. Your health department should be your best friend. So always check and make sure that what you're allowing in your kitchen is acceptable under your local regulations.
Thank you. That's what I was having, that understanding. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Jessica, you'll be our last one. What you got?
I just wanted to elaborate on, because we do actually take one-time users. Because we understand there's festivals, there's events, there's caterers and people who come in from out of town and they need a commercial kitchen. So what we do to kind of not scare away, but prevent some of those more chaotic renters is we charge a one-time event fee because we also want to make it fair for our members who are paying monthly. We don't want somebody to come in and pay the same thing they're paying, but they're obligated to a certain amount of hours per month. And they're like, hey, why does this person get to come in and do this? So we want to make it a little bit to where this one-time user is paying more money than somebody who's consistently using the kitchen, a person who is a member, so that our members feel like they're getting a deal. But this one-time user is also able to use the kitchen. They just have to pay a little bit more.
I love that. Thank you for bringing that point up. That's a great way to handle that. All right. Well, that wraps up our time today. I want to thank you all for joining us today for this webinar. I'm going to launch a short survey here. If you could just real quickly, boom, 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 two questions in the poll. And I'll put back up, we have some QR codes here. I'll also send out the direct links to these as well as links to things that we've talked about today and the recording of this webinar. Please continue the conversation in the Nick if you're on Facebook. We love seeing these conversations happen and the collaboration between the community happen in that space. And we hope to see you in Providence in October at the summit where this will all happen in person. So join us next month, April 7th, for our food safety webinar with Always Food Safe. And thank you all for joining us today.
Bye, y'all.